Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back. Brandon again. I thought I'd go ahead and just do a weekly recap of the training week that I had this past week. That's a lot of weeks. Speaking of week, let's get to the lifting. So my first actual day is a deadlift day, and the way my program is set up, it's based around reps, strength, or speed work. This particular day for a deadlift was a rep day, so 3 sets of 6 at 455. And interestingly enough, I didn't think that this workout was going to go so well. And I think part of that is being a homeowner now and doing actual yard work on the weekends, which sucks, by the way. Something that you really take for granted when you rent and you just don't give a fuck. Is doing yard work, moving mulch, moving dirt, digging stuff, building stuff, keeping it nice and tidy so the neighbors don't yell at you, mowing your own lawn, getting that tan so you can live up to the Jackson tan monkier. It's just taking a lot out of me in the sense that it's not work that I'm necessarily used to, being a suburban white male. Gotta throw the racism in there a little bit. Not used to this kind of yard work, so I got really sore from doing that. My lower back was a little bit tight. But that being said, the actual lifts went really well. So 455 for 3 sets of 6 went really smooth. Was really happy with the speed and how it moved. And it's just really pleasing to me to look at this and see the progress I've been making over the course of the last year or two for something that was probably really heavy for me, now just being one of my rep days, which I use a lighter percentage of, and have it just move that quickly. It's really boosting my morale, which sometimes is a little bit in the gutter. So the second day, what we have is we have a bench day. And again, the way that I work my program is I have 2 bench days a week. The first one, which is always after deadlift, so this was on a Tuesday, I always use paused reps. And I spoke about this in my bench tips video that I released earlier in the week. You'll actually notice that I used a lot of the same footage. So these are my working sets from that tip video, and I did all the tips as part of my warm-up progression. So same outfit crew checking in. But I've really found that using paused reps helps me a ton. And I know a lot of people probably don't utilize them because they don't think that they'll ever need to, because maybe they don't ever plan on doing a powerlifting competition. But one of the things that I've found to really help me with this is the fact that it forces you to find the most powerful spot when you're pressing, because when you pause with the weight on your chest, your body is really forced into that mode where you have to find the best spot possible in order to press. And I think if you don't utilize pause reps, you just use touch and go and use a lot of that momentum or even your sternum to bounce the weight off, so to say, you can kind of skirt around some of those issues. So you might not be in the most powerful position, but because you're using that momentum, it really helps you get the weight up anyways. So regardless if you plan on competing, I think pause work is extremely beneficial. And this particular day is my strength day. And what I do on my programming is the strength days, even though I have certain things programmed in terms of numbers go, if I feel like there's more weight there, I'll usually try to bump the weight up and in some cases go for PRs. So on this particular day, the program called for sets of 270. I decided to bump it up to 275. So nothing too crazy on this particular day. Which brings us to my squat day. So Monday went pretty well with the deadlifts. Tuesday went pretty well with the bench, so I did more weight than I was supposed to. I take Wednesdays off, and Thursday I go in and I squat. And this is my speed day. And I've talked about this in the past, but me and speed squats just don't really get along too well. I think it's just the way that I squat. If I try to accelerate myself really fast into the hole, and put in your own sexual innuendo however you see fit there. Get it? See fit? Sexual innuendo. I digress. One of the problems I have is when I use a faster momentum, I kind of get out of my motion, my juju, my just tempo of things, and it ends up throwing me off pretty significantly, and I end up getting lower back pain, or my form ends up screwing up some way or another. And I think I really lost sight of that initially in the beginning of these sets, and my form was just not there. Most of my squats, the first half, were pretty high, and these were 7 sets of 3, so I had a ton of time to really work into it. I don't think I did any really mobility work, and I haven't been doing much of any of that lately, and I'll speak to that in another video. But things just didn't really feel as good as the beginning of the week did, so I was a little bit skewed by that. And it's interesting to see this particular set from behind. Again, sexual innuendos, if you will. But for some reason, my form was really off. I think I just didn't get the bar centered on my back because I'm significantly leaning to the left. I think part of this too is I have different mobilities in my left and right shoulder, but for some reason, this just looked really wonky on this particular set. Maybe it's because my shirt looks a little bit wonky too. I have that left side untucked, the right side tucked, a little bit of Wayne Gretzky action for all of you hockey fans out there. But overall, towards this set, after that real weird lean to the left, I think I got my mojo back a little bit and things just started to feel a little bit better because I started to slow things down in terms of descending into the hole to make it last. So kind of turned this day around particularly, but overall, pretty solid day. Not the best start, but we finished strong, so to say. And speaking of finishing strong, that brings us to my last actual working day, which was a bench press day. And for bench on this again, what I do is the second day, so Friday, I use touch and go reps. So Tuesday paused, Friday touch and go. And initially when I made this program, anyone who's taken a look at it or decided to run it, you'll notice that Friday's bench isn't programmed. That's because initially this day is an overhead press day for me. I do all my overhead press work on this particular day, and I have that portion of the program, actual program with numbers and percentages and whatnot. And I technically look at this as a secondary bench day or more of assistance work. I just prioritize it on this day because I want to get my bench better. So what I'll try to do is I'll emulate my first bench day. So I did the same sets and the same reps, but because touch and go for me is easier, I decided to bump the weight up. And again, being a strength day, I wanted to push the numbers a little bit. So I ended up working up to a heavy triple of 335, which for me was really good. Although on this particular actual set, you can see the second rep, I just got misgrouped, and you can actually see my elbows have to readjust, because one of the things that I notice sometimes that when I do touch and go reps is I flare my elbows out more, again, trying to utilize more of that momentum, and that can kind of throw me off a little bit because it gets me out of my groove. I was able to correct that the third rep, but it was not a very pretty one. But sometimes it doesn't matter if it's pretty or not, it just matters if you get it up and get it in, and that's what I did. So that's my weekly training recap, just the main lifts on this. If you want to find out more information about the assistance or accessory work that I did on these particular days, I'll either flash them on the screen, or you can always follow me in Fitocracy, which is always linked below in the description box, so you can see the workouts in full. As always, thanks for watching. In the meantime, stay big.